Time for our Governor's Award. Please welcome back the president of the Upper Midwest Emmy chapter, Jason DeRusha from WCCO TV, and from our Board of Governors as well as the Minnesota National Guard, Staff Sergeant Ben Hout-Cooper.
There's one award tonight which holds the highest honor among the peers of the Upper Midwest Emmy chapter. It is the Governor's Award. It's the only Emmy Award voted on and approved by our Board of Governors. If I could, the governors who are here tonight, could you stand, please? And we could recognize, I see Harold, all of the governors, Matt. All of you have to sit through. It takes a year to plan this night. Thank you all so much. Barbara, it's just great to have all of you guys here tonight. Judy. It's great to be with you tonight. All of these people are volunteers from your station. Not only do they have to sit through our meetings, they have to answer all of your questions on how to enter the awards. So thank you, guys.
Not only do these professionals represent every state in our region, but virtually every broadcast market and media platform, from traditional broadcasters to cable, government, public access, and online providers.
Tonight's Governor's Award honors the visionary relationships that creatively and effectively use broadcast, corporate, and nonprofit resources that really showcase the power of broadcasting to advance a mission or a message.
Serving Our Troops is a partnership between the Minnesota National Guard, Hubbard Broadcasting, and dozens of local companies and individuals. They are dedicated to showing service members and their families in Minnesota, as well as other troops from across the nation, what we appreciate their brave service to our country. We show this appreciation by bringing them just a bit of Minnesota, both stateside and overseas. A delicious steak dinner with family.
Such a simple idea to break bread at the same time, for the miles to melt away, for one meal together.
There we are, enjoy.
And that's how Serving Our Troops began.
Yeah, 32 a pan, right?
It's the most gratifying thing I've ever done, just to let people know that when you're serving overseas that we haven't forgotten about you at home. They want it rare, they get it rare.
In 9 events over those 8 years, we've served more than 70,000 steaks.
It re-energizes me for the next couple of months until we get home.
As families shared a meal.
Do you miss Daddy?
And so much more.
Can you blow Daddy a kiss? Go, mwah.
Say hi, Uncle Mitch.
Hi, Uncle Mitch. He works for the Army. That's why I'm proud of him.
We're all proud of them, and that's why we're serving our troops.
Merry Christmas!
As they continue to serve us.
Serving our troops. I've had the pleasure of being on this board and serving this chapter for some time. But the Serving Our Troops partnership, it was the quickest decision we ever made. This operation predates Skype. There is no way that what Serving Our Troops has done and what they started to do would have been possible without amazing leadership from the business community, the National Guard, and the visionary efforts of Hubbard Broadcasting. There was no Skype when they started out. Today, it's hard to imagine that, but that's what they did. It's amazing. So it's my honor to welcome Harold Crump from Hubbard Broadcasting, and from the Minnesota National Guard, Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Olson, and from the business community, Pat Harris from Serving Our Troops.
On behalf of Major General Rick Nash and the 14,000 men and women of the Minnesota National Guard, thank you to the Board of Governors once again for honoring the Minnesota National Guard's commitment to a strong community and broadcaster partnership. As the guy who answers the phone for the National Guard, basically, I'm an assignment editor, I'll never forget the day in 2004 when some wild-eyed St. Paul self-described knuckleheads approached me with the great idea of sending stakes to Iraq. I thought they were crazy. It took 5 happy-hour trips to Mancini's, 4 trips to Skinner's Pub, and 3 trips to O'Gara's before it made sense. But it did make sense. I learned that serving our troops consisted not only of enthusiastic St. Paul restaurant and bar owners, suppliers, and civic leaders, but also hundreds of local volunteers and dozens of corporate partners. My jaw dropped to learn that corporate partners like RBC, XL Energy, Delta Airlines, Shell's Brewery, Best Buy, and there are so many more. They step forward as partners with St. Paul and contribute to the vision. It's a simple thing: dinner with family. Corporate partners here in Minnesota demonstrate the passionate support for our service members and their families. And those of us in uniform sincerely appreciate this commitment. And Hubbard Broadcasting was there the entire way. And they were there for our military families, from the difficult task of, here, figure out how to link the XL Energy Center with a remote base in Kosovo in 2004, to let's Skype between 4 Kuwaiti combat outposts at the St. Paul River Center. These talented technical staffs at Hubbard, they were up to the challenge. So serving our troops and Hubbard Broadcasting, they truly made a difference for our families, as did all the broadcast outlets in this room that showcased this effort with your news coverage. Thank you all for your commitment. And across the heartland, whether it's stories of deployments, homecomings, or community connections, our audiences connect with our military service members, our families, employers, and communities. Thank you for telling the stories of those that serve in uniform. Thank you.
On behalf of the Serving Our Troops team, I want to thank the board for this award, an award that we dedicate to the soldiers and families of the Minnesota National Guard. Serving Our Troops was conceived 8 years ago with the mission of connecting soldiers with their families and allowing them to enjoy the simple yet very sacred experience of sharing a meal together. For Serving Our Troops, this experience comes in the form of a grilled steak from home. Following a city council meeting in 2004, John Marshall, my trusty city council aide, and I found ourselves at Mancini's in St. Paul, which was not surprising at all. As we enjoyed cold grain-belt ales, which is the nectar of creative thinking, our soldiers entered the discussion. If we could sit at Mancini's and enjoy steaks, maybe our soldiers could somehow do the same. Like the Hardy Boys on Grain-Belt, we stormed out of Mancini's committed to bringing our soldiers a taste from home. 9 projects and 75,000 steaks later, we're still on Grain-Belt. But more importantly, the Serving Our Troops team hopes that we have sent a unique message to our soldiers and their families. Countless individuals, businesses, and news outlets, many in here tonight, have made Serving Our Troops a reality. I know I would miss a few and probably get the hook if I started listing them all. But to all of you, thank you. I do want to personally thank my wife, Laura, John Marshall, Dennis Rosemark, Ted Davis, Mike Zipko, Zach Ryan, the Marty family, and our amazing restaurants: Casetas, Mancini's, Skinner's, home of the best value nachos. Yeah! O'Gara's Bar and Grill, the Colossal Cafe, and our Rochester friends, the Canadian Honker. Together with our public officials, the amazing Hubbard Broadcasting, and businesses that support soldiers and families like RBC, Delta Airlines, XL Energy, HMS Host, and so many other friends, the team makes it happen. It's the St. Paul way. Most importantly, though, I want to thank the Minnesota National Guard and its leadership, and General Nash and the amazing Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Olson. They rolled the dice and led a group of St. Paul scrappers into the world with nothing more than some tongs and a few steaks. We served the steaks, medium rare every time, but the soldiers and families of the National Guard have always done the truly hard work for our state and our country. Again, on behalf of the Serving Our Troops team, thank you, and thank you to the soldiers and families of the Minnesota National Guard.
I'm here representing Hubbard Broadcasting, and I want you to know that we were honored just to be a part of this endeavor. When they came to us at the very beginning, way back there, and said, hey, here's the thoughts, and then our engineers put their heads together, and they pulled out of the thin blue air things that had never happened before to allow suddenly families here in our Twin Cities to be able to talk back and forth with their other parts of their families overseas serving their country. I happen to be an overseas veteran myself, going back many, many, many years. And thank you. And I want to tell you that back then, it was such a big deal for us to be able to go on our base to a shortwave radio station and then try to pick up a shortwave individual here in the United States somewhere when we wanted to have a conversation with someone in our family, something bad had happened or something very good had happened. And this does not take place very often because you knew you shouldn't. But they would finally run somebody down, a shortwave radio operator here in the United States, and you would give them the telephone number of your family or whomever you were calling and ask them to call collect. And many times they did, but more often than not, they didn't call collect. They just called for you and allowed you to speak to them. And it was such a thrill, and to be able to have that small minor contact that you had that way, I can just imagine what it must have been like the first time this occurred here. And now today, that technology that our engineers began has been taken so far forward. It was a pleasure for us at the beginning. It's become even more of a pleasure to be involved in this with the wonderful companies who stepped up immediately. And everybody not saying, my golly, what is this going to cost? What can we do? But every single one saying, what can I do? And it does not matter. We will do it. This is what the Twin Cities is all about. And I thank you all for your participation as well.